Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from New York City. We're live watching WCS America, the round of 8, the finals. Of course, round of 8 happens today, round of 4, and finals happens tomorrow. A lot of awesome matches happening so far. Of course, I'm Axel Toss, joined by Axlav. Of course, Bitterdam just handled the casting of Hero versus Alicia. Very fun series indeed. Hero taking the 3-1. Going to be advancing on to play Ryung, which will happen tomorrow. That's going to be spectacular. But coming up next on this stream is going to be Snute versus Revival, and this is a matchup that a lot of people have been waiting for.
Of course, Snute has shown spectacular ZVZ so far, and Revival has only played Zergmir throughout the entire WCS America. He's played 6 best-of-3 series, 3 in round 32 and 3 in round of 16, and all 6 series have been a Zerg versus Zerg.
And the thing is, like, I remember talking to him in the winners interview from the round of 16 group stage. He said he doesn't like the matchup, and honestly, like, what Zerg player really loves ZVZ with a passion kind of thing. It's a very tricky matchup. I was talking to Snoot a little bit in the back in the player room, and I'm like, you know, how did you kind of prepare for these matches? Were you just playing a lot of ZVZ? And Snoot was like, you know what, I didn't play a lot of ZVZ because it's not that fun for him. So he just played a lot of ladder, so which is fine. So it's really cool to get that insight. But yeah, I mean, ZVZ, a pretty awesome matchup, and as you said, Revival has plenty of experience as far as that's concerned in this tournament. So could go either way, but then it's coming from a guy in Snoot who was kind of, after the sport change happened, he's the guy who really started exploring different strategies with the addition of the new sport.
And we saw he was very successful so far in this tournament using those strategies. Revival played a little bit of a versatile style as well. Of course, round 32 was before the sport change. Right. And he played mostly that Mutalisk style that everyone played. And then round of 16, he really went back to this Roach type play, and that's how he got through Suppy and Scarlet. And made it to these finals. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen here. Of course, we're very close to getting started, but we were able to talk with Snoot a little bit, so we're going to take a look at an interview we had with him, and we'll be back with the game. Enjoy.
I wasn't really into esports at first, but I think the entry point for me was winning the Norwegian LAN tournaments. I'm doing really well in those because not only did I place first place, but that also gave me spots to events such as ESWC and World Cyber Games. And once I traveled to those events, I wanted to do even better. And that's how I got into international competitive esports. I think winning Home Story Cup 6 was the most precious moment for me. It definitely felt like everything I had practiced for and worked hard for came together. So yeah, that was a really good moment. I think the most tough thing really is just to slow grind and those times when results don't come. You know, you just need to identify your weaknesses. It also helps to be to look at other players that are better than you. I studied Stefano's play for a long time. Yeah, but mostly it's about looking at your own mistakes, figuring out why you are losing, and fix those issues. I was here for the MLG Summer Arena last year. Unfortunately, I was eliminated in the first round, so it was a little bit of a rough tournament for me. And I want to do better in New York this time. One of the biggest changes to me is that I now have the opportunity to train in Korea. So I've been staying there for a month now and been practicing with the other Korean players from EG and Team Liquid. So that's definitely the biggest change for me. And being able to practice in Korea truly is something different. So I'm really happy for that opportunity. Given to me by Team Liquid.
Now hold on. Snoot does it. Alicia throws down the GG, and Snoot gets the 2-1 victory.
So I wanted to be able to play in WCS regardless of any region. Like if I'm in Europe, I can still play in the NA tournaments, and if I'm in Korea, I can still play in NA. So it just was the obvious choice for me since I travel between Europe and Korea. I think all of the players that are in the top 16 are really good, so I'm just focusing on my opponents right now. And I know that if I'm feeling great, then I can take any tournament.
Snoot, there he is, getting ready for his match. Of course, a lot of things to say in that interview. Really cool guy. And he's one of those guys that I feel like a lot of people in Europe are staying up late just to see how this guy does.
Definitely one of the only European player who's played in WCS America, and he's been doing very well. Of course, he's made this top 8 playoffs. He's done very well in the Zergmir matches, but he's up against Revival, who's made it here exclusively off of Zerg versus Zerg. The first map is going to be Cloud Kingdom.
Here we go. A moment a lot of people have been waiting for is about to begin. A best of 5. The third quarterfinal match of the day. Snoot versus Revival is about to begin. The first map, as you said, going to be on Cloud Kingdom, of course, trying not only to get to the next round of WCS America, but get themselves a nice cash prize of $7,000, 750 WCS points, and of course, a ticket to Korea to participate in the World Finals of Season 1 WCS. Here we are. Of course, Ryung and Hero already making it through to the round of 4. In this game, we have 2 players trying to join them, beginning with the top right-hand location. The Red Zerg player representing Team Liquid and hailing from Norway. He is Snoot. And his opponent in the bottom left of Cloud Kingdom. Your Blue Zerg player, hailing from Korea and representing Team Evil Geniuses. He is Revival.
What's interesting about Revival is he's one of those players that everyone respects, and he's very good. He's done very well on the ladder. He's done very well in even like the daily tournaments. He's one of the few top Koreans who would routinely play in the smaller online tournaments. But he's never had that big tournament win. So, for example, I think he's won the most play-in daily tournaments back when those used to run than any other player.
Yeah.
So exceptionally well at those smaller tournaments, but every time he goes to the big stage, he usually falls just a little short. Here's his chance to say, you know what? I'm not just this online warrior. I actually can win the big events too. Of course, he's up against Snoot. And look at that run. Snoot taking out Nesty and Vibe, 2 Zerg monsters. So clearly very good at Zerg versus Zerg.
Of course, taking out Alicia as well in the round of 16. Alicia just got knocked out there by Hero. So Snoot definitely has a lot of wins under his belt. And of course, we can see there showing a creative lean-based ZVZ. We'll have to see if he does that here, like going for a faster third. Of course, Revival's path hasn't been very easy either. Round of 32, he actually finished 3rd in his group, having to go through the losers match. Of course, losing to Ghost User, but then defeating Idra, and then defeating Ghost User in the winners match. In the round of 16, he also had to play 3 matches. It's not like, all right, let's just play 2 matches and win them both. No, that's not what Revival did. He had to come back in both these locations. But an all Zerg group, again, all these are Zergs. Suppy, Scarlet, and then beating Suppy. So Revival used to those EVZs, but not too easy of a path to get to this point.
Very difficult, and it's interesting to note that he's losing to the person and he comes back and beats him later.
Yep.
So, for example, against Ghost User, he lost 2-1, and then in the decider match, he won 2-0. And what's kind of easy, you can almost think of that as it could have been like a longer series, right, where he goes down 2-1 in the first 3 games, but then he comes back and starts winning. And here, at this stage in the playoffs, it's best of 5s.
Yeah.
So even though, yes, he's often lost that first series in his EVZ, that's a best of 3. Best of 5, if he loses the first map or 2, he's still okay. It takes 3 map wins to win a best of 5.
And interestingly enough, I was counting the games here. Revival is tied with the most games played in WCS America Premier with Alive. They've each played 15 games, which is more than any other player. Like, to compare it to Hero, before his matches today, he only played 8 games in WCS America. So, you know, just some interesting stuff coming forward. But starting off this game, let's see exactly what's going on here. It looks like fairly similar builds. However, we have speed on the way here from Snoot. And, wait, from Revival, I should say. And Snoot is not yet started that, it seems like.
Revival with the faster gas here.
Yep.
And that's actually going to be a pretty significant difference. It's not. There's a lot of situations where one person has speed like 10 seconds faster, and most of the time that doesn't make a big difference. But in this situation, Revival's going to have total map control for quite a while, and Snoot's going to have to think of, okay, should I be defensive? Is he going to play greedy? Is he going to try to do like some speed lean, bait lean all in? And Snoot is actually adding additional queens, so he's going up to 4 queens. And that's going to make defense much, much easier. Of course, as you get extra queens, you start accumulating extra energy because you only need 2 of those queens to be using transfuses, or injects, excuse me.
I think that's layer before speed here for Snoot. Interesting, and this is a guy who got speed out really early, was utilizing a lot of early Evo chambers, and was really trying to take map control while getting a 3rd hatchery up very fast, letting his opponent doing the fast teching. And now we're in a situation where he's getting a layer first, and I'm wondering what exactly this is going to be for.
It might be some type of speed roach +1 timing attack. Everything looks like it could be geared towards that type of angle. Revival with the double Evos as well. And after he saw Snoot going Roachhorn, he's getting his own Roachhorn. So maybe he was planning going upgraded Zerglings, but then when he saw the Snoot was going Roaches, he's like, you know what, maybe I should just do the same thing.
Yeah, the question is going to be, who's going to take that third first, of course. Neither player has scouted each other's layer timing, so that's, something they're relatively in the dark regarding, okay, if you know when the layer's finished, you know when you're likely to look for tech, you know when a likely timing attack is coming your way, and there's the roach speed immediately starting here for Snoot. So yeah, it looks like it is going to be a roach timing off of +1 and off of speed. And again, the important thing here is the +1 missile from Revival a little bit later. The layer is going to be a little bit later, so presumably speed is going to be a little bit later. So we'll have to see how that impacts the game going forward.
Snoot may try to take advantage of that timing. When he realizes his opponent is going roaches as well, we could just see both players kind of sit back and macro up. Roach timings are very strong against an opponent who's trying to tech fast a Mutalisk or some other high-tech unit. But when both players go roaches, the difference in the rally, the extra reinforcements your opponent will have on their side of the map is quite significant. Getting a drone kill is Revival. A little bit of a misstep by Snoot there, losing that drone, but it's not going to be too big in the long run.
Third hatchery now going down for Snoot. Now, what could happen, actually for both players, what could happen is Snoot can make a lot of roaches. He knows his opponent has scouted him. He probably saw the roach horn wiggling. He probably knows, something is coming. What Snoot could do here is make a lot of roaches, kind of posture across the map, but don't really commit a lot to it. Because you have to make that decision, do I want to commit, try to defeat this third base, but you have to keep thinking in the back of your mind, okay, my opponent is going to have the defender's advantage. If I stay too far across the map, I'm going to get hurt. I'm not going to be able to retreat, per se. Now, what Snoot can do is posture across the map, but then make a bunch of drones behind it and kind of set himself up for a little bit later in the game.
It looks like he's moving out. He's going to want to try to cancel that third base of Revival. Of course, in Roach Mirror, if you fall a base down, it's a huge disadvantage. Revival really wants to hold that third base. But Snoot, I think, has a few more roaches, and he has speed, which means Revival can't retreat.
And he has +1. His opponent doesn't have +1 just yet, but +1 armor and missile attacks about to finish here for Revival. Going to try to deal with this, trying to get that superior concave. Snoot very confident here. That upgrade advantage is just about to go well away as +1 missile is about to finish. Now, Snoot is droning behind this. So again, looking for a little bit cost-efficient trades. I think he realizes he's probably not going to kill this hatchery because Revival making a lot of roaches here to try to fend off against this. But if you look at income, it's 62 to 52 in favor of Snoot and the Harvester. So what's going to be important here is Snoot needs to be able to fend off this counterattack that should be coming here from Revival and make sure not to overcommit to it.
That was a really beautiful time by Snoot. He was able to trade very cost-effectively, taking out the third queen. He took out more roaches of his opponent that he lost, and that was all because he had the roach speed and upgrade advantage. As soon as his opponent started rallying out more roaches and equalized the upgrades, in fact got ahead due to that extra armor, he backed away. Now, like you said, he has economic advantage. Yes, he's down by 1 upgrade, but in Roach Mirror, the attack is much more important than the armor because, of course, it's +2 attack versus +1 armor on the roaches.
It's 65 drones to 53 in favor of Snoot, and Revival's making nothing but roaches. So I feel like Revival might be gearing up for a 2-2 timing, but that might seem like it's a little bit late. But we'll definitely keep an eye on that because, again, the upgrades from Snoot are pretty similarly timed, except for that carapace attack, and Snoot making a bazillion roaches. And since he has more drones than his opponent, he's going to have the economic advantage, so he'll be able to replenish faster. He'll be able to have more roaches in his composition, but if Revival can just position brilliantly, perhaps he can negate that. But I feel like Snoot might have a slight advantage in this game.
Snoot has a lot of creep spread as well, and that's because he got those extra early queens. That's really going to help him out with vision. Of course, it helps both players as far as unit speed goes, but having that vision lets him know exactly where Revival's moving, so he can know which area to defend.
Yes.
And if you know ahead of time which ramp your opponent might go up, you can just set up a concave and defend very easily.
That's very important on Cloud Kingdom as well. There's that maneuverability in between the 4th and the 3rd. However, Snoot looks like he wants an engagement here coming forward, but Revival's starting to set up that concave. Snoot has to be very careful not to take a cost-inefficient engagement. Again, he has the economic lead, just needs to make sure he does, nothing goes crazy in this situation. So we'll keep it on that. Meanwhile, Snoot also adding on a Hydra Den, starting up Hydra range as well. So he's going to start adding in Hydras to this composition. Still nothing but roaches here for Revival. He really wants to power down his opponent and also researching Burrow.
Snoot hasn't really been able to utilize his economic advantage in roach count due to larva, but once Hydras come into fray, he'll be well ahead, and he's defending very well here.
Oh, he's going for it, shoving those roaches forward, but Revival just now finishing up the 2-2 on those upgrades. Snoot taking advantage of like a half a second timing window to try to engage, but the question is, who's going to have more roaches in the long run? Snoot continuing to reinforce. He's up 160 to 145 in supply, and again, defender's advantage is so important. Snoot is much closer to his reinforcements than Revival.
Oh, Revival, though, has a great concave with the roaches at the bottom as well. Snoot's having to back up. With the 2 queens with so much energy, That's a lot of transfusions, which can be instrumental in a very even battle.
Remember, Revival is very committed to this. Revival has not progressed his tech. He only has 2/2 roaches. He does have Burrow, but he's still only at 53 harvesters. So Snoot has the better tech in the situation as far as the Hydras are concerned, having those guys in the back, and he has the better economy. Again, just needs to make sure not to take a bad engagement.
Really nice move by Revival, using Burrow to regenerate the roaches. Now heading up again.
Both players feeling confident, getting up close and personal. Some more roaches coming in for Snoot. Only one Hydra in this composition. And again, keep in mind, Revival has a slight upgrade advantage. The +2 armor to his opponent's +1, but Revival's saying, you know what? I don't have enough roaches. He's going to back away, and Snoot's going to hold.
Snoot's really been running into larva problems. He's had the superior economy, but because he hasn't really had quite enough larva, he hasn't been able to utilize that economy to turn it into extra units. So you can see here he's got a decent amount of money backed up. Of course, now building that 4th hatchery, that'll really help him out with the unit production. And once he can use this money, once he gets enough larva out to really use it, that's where we're going to see that food difference skyrocket. He's already up by 15 supply. He could gain even more.
Don't forget, Snoot, Revival has been so annoying with his Overseer. Look at this 3rd hatchery at Snoot's base. That's not the first time this has happened either.
Such a cool move here. Snoot has his own Overseer. He could send it across the map to try to do some counter-contaminating. But he's going to sit back and be happy. He knows he has a better composition as he's adding in these Hydralisks. Yes, he's down by a single upgrade. Revival's trying to equalize adding in his own Hydralisk, but Snoot does have that food advantage.
Think about Cloud Kingdom, though, especially if it's 3 bases versus 3 bases. As we saw, Revival was trying to break Snoot there. It can be very difficult because, again, you're having to go up a ramp where your opponent can have that high ground advantage and can kind of spread out their units at the top to get that concave. So, I don't necessarily Snoot trying to bust up that 3rd ramp into that 3rd base unless he goes for some multi-pronged harassment and senses weakness. Instead, he's going to be taking a 4th, and he might try to revolve his play around denying the 4th of his opponent while he gets his own 4th up. This could be a very instrumental part of this game.
Revival's equalized the drone count. He also has equalized the food count. Both players maxed out. Snoot does have the advantage if he's going to be on 5 hatcheries versus an opponent who's on 3 building a 4. So he'll be able to reinforce with greater larva, but on Revival's side of the map, it's much closer to Revival's hatchery and his method of reinforcement.
Snoot wants to get something done. Keep in mind, I still don't think he started up that +2 carapace, and I think at this point it's definitely a mistake. He has the resources to do so. He is maxed. So, okay, just now starting up that +2, but he's going to try to be aggressive towards his 4th base. Revival needs a phenomenal concave. A big engagement going to happen here. It looks like Snoot has the slightly better concave. He has more Hydras than his opponent, trying to keep him in the back, but Revival surging forward, trying to make it happen, finally deciding, all right, I'm backing up, and Snoot taking advantage. I don't know if he should go up this ramp. Okay, he's going to try to go for it. He could have stayed back and tried to focus down the hatchery, but he feels confident here.
Oh, he feels confident, but his roaches are running out. The Hydras are in their front. They're starting to fall as well. Revival might be able to hold this, and if Revival's 4th base can stay alive, that's going to put him in great shape.
Has been a counterattack as well while this is going on by Revival. Great play from him. Snoot trying to make it happen on his opponent's side of the map, but his roaches and Hydras are slowly dwindling away, sending more and more roaches across the map. Meanwhile, he's lost 15 workers to that roach counterattack, and now Revival has the economic advantage, 61-58. So Snoot is in a little bit of pressure here, throwing away more units at his opponent's 4th base. He was in complete control of this game, but Revival with a brilliant counterattack. Hold on, though. We got some reinforcements coming forward here from Snoot, and now Revival's going to be on the run. Snoot, I feel like maybe just snipe this hatchery and get out of there, but no, he's feeling confident again, going to be pursuing his opponent's army into the 3rd.
Revival's roaches are still being annoying in the main of Snoot, but if Snoot can overwhelm Revival's 3rd base, that's going to be more important than any damage Revival can do in the main.
Revival adding on more and more roaches to his competition. Remember, this is easy. He has that defender's advantage, trying to get those guys out onto the field, but keep in mind, again, +2 carapace is on the way, but Snoot doesn't even care. He's continuing to try to make something happen with these roaches, going straight to the natural, going after his opponent's units rather than after his opponent's economy.
Snoot smells blood in the water. He's trying to end it now. Revival's roaches are being really annoying, picking off roach after they rally in from Snoot.
I don't know if this is going to work here for Snoot. He's down 106-94 in supply. Revival happy to throw away some drones there to try to get rid of this aggression. Still more roaches being annoying in the natural expansion of Snoot. Keep in mind, Snoot does have a 4th base, but Revival, remember, his 4th base is getting up as well. Snoot trying to win right now, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before Revival gets sufficient reinforcements to deal with this.
Looks like Snoot's attack is starting to peter out. Revival with more roaches on the defense, and Snoot so far behind in economy, down to only 28 drones.
And it's just little roach counterattacks from Revival. It's not crazy burrowed investor play. Revival just being super methodical, super efficient. Dare I say Ryung-esque as far as how cost efficient he is with these counterattacks. And now Snoot is in a very difficult position. He's down to 24 harvesters. His opponent is up to 44. And remember, Snoot decided to ignore all of these drone lines. He kept going after the units of his opponent, so really focusing on trying to win at that point in the game rather than killing his opponent's economy to make his life easier going forward.
Revival's now thinking about attacking his opponent's 4th base, backing up, waiting to reconsolidate his roach numbers, burrowing them to regenerate their life. Very heads-up play by Revival. Snoot gonna abandon the 4th, pull the drones out, recognizing the fact that he's behind in the roach count.
God, that roach has 15 kills. Again, and there's the GG. Wow. Wow, okay, so that game, you know, it came down to that burrow upgrade, really.
The burrow upgrade was very important. It allowed Revival's harass to be big.
Yes.
And also, I mean, Snoot had a nice lead, but I think he was just a little bit too aggressive there. He had an opportunity to kill the 4th and back away.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's on 4 bases to his opponent's 3.
Exactly, yeah.
5 hatchery production versus 3 hatchery production, and he'd be in great shape. But he really wanted to end the game. Yeah, he wanted to end the game, and he took a little bit of a bad fight. His Hydras got stuck in the front there as he pushed up the ramp. And once all those Hydras died, they're very expensive and hard to replace.
You want the roaches in front to help tank that damage. Now, do you think a part of that had to do with the roach counterattacks too? He's like, oh gosh, my economy is getting shredded. I can't afford to let this game go any longer. I need to win right now.
It might have been. It's really hard to tell. The first roach counterattack, he actually pulled the drones pretty fast. It's just when they burrowed and came back, and later just the damage just added up and added up and added up. It's such a tough call there. You know, when your opponent has burrow, roach counterattacks are so annoying. And Snoot was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with that.
I think every race out there can identify with that. Like, you know, TVZ, PVZ. When your opponent gets burrow, it is the most frustrating thing in the world. But continue, sorry.
Yes, I mean, so he was stuck in that mindset where he's like, I don't want to have to deal with this. I think I can end the game now. And, you know, he came really close to doing it. He was up in Revival's base, really taking out a lot of stuff, but he just couldn't quite finish the game there. He took too much damage back at home.
All right, guys, this is a best of 5, so there's no reason to count Snoot out, but Revival playing a very patient game number 1, taking the 1-0 victory. Stay tuned, guys. Game 2, Snoot Revival, coming up.